Chapter 40. The Princesses. Canterlot. It was a jewel on the side of the mountain, shimmering marble and gold-tipped spires shooting high into the air for all of Equestria to see. The capital city of Equestria, having stood for 1,000 years ever since the banishment of Princess Luna. It was the home of two of the country's 4 alicorn rulers and was the birthplace of another. The city had weathered strikes from hostile forces, rampaging monsters, and even the odd rogue storm without breaking. Many of Equestria's greatest inventors, philosophers, and artists had been born and raised within those structures on the side of Mount Canterhorn, and it had been host to more than a few wonderbolts during its time. Though Little Wing doubted it had ever hosted a human reborn as a Pegasus Wonderbolt before. Little Wing had never actually been to Canterlot before, something she was alone in compared to the rest of the team. She had been a fully fledged Wonderbolt for less than a year, and needed to be a part of the team's annual attendance of the Grand Galloping Gala. She had heard mixed reviews about the gala, but was looking forward to seeing it for herself, and the possibility of meeting the rest of Equestria's alicorns up close. What she had never anticipated was being summoned by Princess Twilight Sparkle to a private audience with Princess Celestia and Princess Luna. The message had been sudden, though not exactly unexpected. It also expressed an urgency to appear before them without delay. Of course, her family had wanted to come along and lend their own support and word on the matter to the princesses, though Little Wing had decided they'd traveled far enough for her sake as of late. Princess Twilight's own assurances that nothing bad was going to happen to Little Wing did help put them at ease, and in the end, only Rainbow Dash and Misty Gust ended up accompanying her in the trip to Equestria's capital. Their arrival had been swift, and they wasted no time in making their way to Canterlot Castle. The city truly was a marvel to behold, but their haste hardly left Little Wing time to take in the sights. They had flown over the rooftops across the 3 great platforms the city was built upon, hanging from the mountain with the assistance of countless supports, both material and magical in nature. Among them, the palace stood the greatest of all, its spires reaching for the heavens while reflecting the sun's rays. Both Little Wing and Misty Gust had been gawping at the sights, seeing whatever they could as they passed over the city, while the far more traveled Rainbow Dash simply smirked at their reactions. The trio didn't stop until they had arrived at the front gates, making themselves known to the guards before flying into the castle grounds themselves. They were allowed passage, and Rainbow Dash led her little sister and her wife into the castle's main entrance hall. The interior, Little Wing noted, was just as lavish as the exterior. The windows were made to depict a whole manner of events from Equestria's long history, while banners hung from the ceiling showing mainly motifs of the sun and the moon, though there were a few tapestries that included the odd lavender starburst or crystalline heart. The entrance hall was a flurry of activity. Guards stood vigilant as the castle staff moved in and out of the various hallways alongside the odd noble who walked with their muzzles pointing skyward. A large staircase with velvet carpeting sat directly opposite of the main entrance, and atop those stairs, almost expectantly, was the form of Princess Twilight herself.
"You were quick,"
the princess quipped as the trio as they approached.
"Who are you talking to again?"
Rainbow Dash boasted, shooting Twilight an ever so slightly cocky smile.
"Clearly Little Wing is a truly fast flyer,"
Twilight retorted, giving the awkwardly shuffling Pegasus a sweet smile, though she couldn't help but stifle a snort when she added,
"How did you ever keep up, Rainbow Dash?"
Rainbow gave the princess a deadpan look. Twilight chuckled behind a huff.
"But yes, I anticipated your early arrival. It's why I was waiting here. Are you all right?"
She used the term "you all," though her gaze was clearly upon Little Wing respectively. While her eyes seemed far brighter than the last time they settled down on Little Wing, Pegasus could still feel a sense of unease and uncertainty radiating from them.
"We're all right, Princess,"
Little Wing replied, forcing her nervousness down and letting her face gain a small smile.
It's actually nice not to have secrets at the back of my mind. Little Wing, you should have talked to Applejack a long time ago.
Twilight mused lightly.
Honesty is a keystone of friendship, but I take it the revelation of your origins hasn't soured anything? You kidding me?
Rainbow Dash refuted.
Come on, Twi, look at us. We're all here, aren't we? We've been working through it, Your Highness.
Misty Gust added in a far more soft tone.
But we're fine. Better than fine?
Little Wing asked over at Misty, giving her a knowing smile. Misty giggled.
I hope so.
Twilight raised an eyebrow at the two, matching Rainbow Dash's own momentary look of confusion, though it was quickly erased as the Princess of Friendship moved back on topic.
Right, well, Princess Celestia is still overseeing the day court, though I'll send word of your arrival. She will have Luna collected and time set aside for you.
Twilight explained.
I've told them both what I found during my foray into Little Wing's mind. They were both intrigued.
Little Wing wasn't so sure how to feel about that.
So, what do we do while we wait?
Rainbow Dash asked. Twilight was silent a moment, but then nodded to a nearby guard. The armored stallion quickly stepped forward and threw a smart salute to his princess.
Would you please see my guests to the Royal Lounge? They're to wait there until I come to collect them.
Yes, Your Highness, the guard replied, nodding for the three Pegasi to follow him down one of the hallways. While the three moved to follow, Twilight spoke up again.
Hopefully this won't take long. In the meantime, you can all feel free to relax. Though don't touch anything from the liquor cabinet. Luna's moonshine is not for mortal ponies.
Little Wing didn't want to imagine why the princesses of Equestria had such alcohol in their lounge, or what happened when it was brought out. Rainbow Dash said a few more words to her friend, though Little Wing paid little attention as she and Misty fell into step behind the guard. Though a thought crossed through Little Wing's mind, and she stopped mid-step as she glanced back at the princess.
Little Wing?
Misty called back, concern crossing her features.
I'm good,
Little Wing assured.
I'm just going to go talk to the princess for a minute. I'll catch up.
Little Wing doubled back, passing Rainbow as she went and ignoring the question on the rainbow-maned Pegasus's face. She trotted straight up to Twilight, who stopped to examine the human-turned pony.
Little Wing? What is it? Princess Twilight, can I talk to you?
Little Wing asked before adding,
In private?
Twilight tilted her head in consideration, surprised by the request. But sure enough, she gave Little Wing a nod and motioned for the guard to depart with the other two. But a moment later, she lit her horn up with bright lavender magic that reached out to envelop the both of them before a loud pop echoed throughout the entrance hall. Simultaneously, another pop and a bright flash lit up a sparse bedroom, decorated only with bookshelves and a single desk, Princess Twilight and Little Wing appearing from it with the latter swaying slightly on her hooves. Twilight gave her an apologetic smile, realizing it had been Little Wing's first teleport. Well, besides the one where she'd been in dire need of medical attention, at least. Little Wing shook herself to get rid of the sudden onset of dizziness before giving the room a good looking over. She saw the bookshelves completely packed with reading material both new and old. The desk had a single inkwell sitting on it with the quill and paper most likely tucked into the desk's drawer. There was a closed entranceway to a balcony, and against one wall stood a 4-poster bed with lavender-colored sheets and pillows draped over it.
I thought my room would be the best place,
Twilight responded to Little Wing's unspoken question.
There are soundproofing wards, and only those with permission can actually enter. You have a room here?
Little Wing questioned. Twilight frowned.
Well, yes. All the princesses do. This is Equestria's capital city, remember? Cadence has a room and study here just as I do, even though she chooses to live in the Crystal Empire. Same as how I choose to live in Ponyville. Oh, right.
Little Wing replied, though that certainly explained why the room was far sparser than the princess's room in her own castle, lacking any personal touches beyond the bookshelves.
So, you wanted to talk to me? Right.
Littlewing scuffed the carpet with a hoof, taking in a deep breath.
Princess, I need to ask you something. All right.
Twilight said slowly.
What is it? You look really nervous. Is something wrong?
Littlewing took several more breaths in, trying to contain her nerves in a mental locker marked "Do Not Touch" for the love of Celestia. After she composed herself, she was able to force her vocal cords to do something useful.
Princess? Is there a scanning spell you can do?
Littlewing asked.
Just a small one?
Twilight's confusion only deepened.
Scanning spell? Well, I've studied countless spells for detecting all kinds of things. I mean, Rarity has a well-trained spell for finding gems. I could probably cast a spell to find a lost bit if I needed to. Sorry, Littlewing, but could you be a bit more specific? Specific.
Littlewing gulped. Hal Locker was being really stubborn.
Right. Specifics. Try a pregnancy detection spell?
Twilight's eyes widened, her mouth gaping like a fish for several moments.
You think you're pregnant? Maybe. I don't know.
Littlewing responded, uncertainly rubbing the back of her head.
We went to the doctors and we had stuff done, and now, well, it just happened, pretty much. We were just gonna wait and see, but then you sent that letter and now I'm here and... Yeah, so can you? Well, I guess so?
Twilight muttered.
I mean, if the conception has actually occurred since the procedure, even if I don't find anything, it may simply be that enough time hasn't passed yet. But if time has passed? Well, I'm pretty good with magic, if I do say so myself,
Twilight proclaimed proudly.
My spell could probably detect a recently fertilized egg cell and... Wow.
Littlewing gave the alicorn a questioning look.
Huh? I just realized how strange this is.
Twilight mused.
I met you when you were a foal. Well, kind of, I guess, seeing as... I guess it just hit me how much time has passed. Guess I just need to look into a mirror for that.
She regarded her own ethereal mane with a thoughtful expression.
Princess? Right, the spell.
Twilight took a breath in, but then nodded.
Hold completely still, or else you could disrupt the scan.
The alicorn's horn lit up, and a grid of magic began to spread through Littlewing's body. The great doors to Canterlot's throne room opened wide, admitting the three Pegasi inside. Littlewing had returned to the others after her meeting with Princess Twilight, remaining oddly silent throughout the wait, as if lost deep in thought. But the call had eventually come, and another guard had proceeded to take them from the lounge and escort them over to the throne room, the princesses ready and waiting. And the throne room was yet another Canterlot feature to take Littlewing's breath away. It was a vast space, blue being the dominant color in contrast to the marble white of much of the castle. A long red carpet spanned the room, passing by 4 ornate engravings in the floor, and a great many more of those windows containing a retelling of Equestria's history. And there, at the end, were the thrones. They were set up on a raised platform, a small fountain of water built into the pedestal. 2 thrones stood atop the platforms, one with bright golden trimmings, while the other had a dark blue set, the sun and moon sitting at the top of their respective backrests. and in those thrones sat two alicorns who Little Wing had only ever seen from afar. Their ethereal remains easily as recognizable as their cutie marks, each giving Little Wing a considerate expression as Princess Twilight stood to the left of the golden throne. Celestia and Luna, the royal sisters, the oldest of Equestria's alicorns. And yet so much younger than another, Little Wing knew.
This is her?
Princess Luna mused quietly to her sister, the Pegasi all stopping shortly before the platform and giving a quick bow.
I expected... I'm not sure. You have seen her perform, Lulu,
Princess Celestia pointed out to her younger sibling.
But I have never seen her up close,
Luna refuted.
But alas, we should not keep her waiting any longer.
Celestia nodded in agreement, and then turned to look at the three new arrivals. Rainbow Dash gave them a quick nod before stepping aside to bring Little Wing into center view. Misty Gust made sure to stick close, but their attention was solely on Little Wing.
Welcome. I do hope you are well, my little pony,
Celestia greeted, a motherly smile on her face.
You are Little Wing, I presume. Formerly Emma of the alternate realm known as Earth,
Luna interjected.
Is that correct? Yes, Your Highness,
Little Wing confirmed with a quick nod.
No, it's just Little Wing. If that's your wish,
Celestia agreed.
I have heard much about you from Twilight. I must say, it's an extraordinary tale. Though I am glad to hear of your recovery after that terrible incident with the Sovereign Empire, this discovery does require some explanation. There is no trouble, is there?
Misty Gust squeaked before quickly adding,
Your Highnesses?
Luna considered Misty for a moment, before her gaze moved after Little Wing and then a protectively glaring Rainbow Dash.
No, not at this time. From what Twilight has told us, you are hardly an invader from another realm, but a child of unfortunate circumstance. But for such a thing to happen, well, it's hardly usual,
Princess Celestia stated.
We simply wish to hear how such a thing occurred, and how you came to be adopted by the parents of Rainbow Dash. Our parents,
Rainbow Dash interrupted.
Ah, of course. My apologies for my poor choice of words,
Celestia humbly amended.
But nevertheless, we would like to know everything from your own testimony. And about Penumbra,
Little Wing observed. Silence echoed around the throne room, the three princesses all glancing between one another. Princess Luna coughed, and then moved to speak up.
Well observed, Little Wing,
Luna commended.
Yes, that plays a part in this too. We truly wish to hear how you have come to be where you are now from, with what Twilight has described, truly terrible origins,
Celestia explained.
But the matter of this other alicorn is concerning. We did not know another of our kin existed beyond the confines of Equestria, and for her to have such a power. She also took your memories as a penance, if I recall. Such an action is concerning, adding to the considerable worry we hold to her mere existence. Well, I'll tell you everything I can.
And so she did. Little Wing started with her life before her first death, all that she could recall from the hazy period of her life. Princess Twilight had retrieved a stack of paper from behind the throne and was making extensive notes, occasionally interjecting to ask questions about Little Wing's version of Earth compared to the one she was apparently familiar with. The other alicorns remained silent throughout, though she did notice the both of them leaned forward ever so slightly when the subject of Penumbra finally came about. She described the shadowy alicorn, her proclaimed abilities, and what they had spoken of. She told them of her cryptic and unexpected first appearance, and how scared the young girl had been of who she had initially presumed to be death itself. And as her story progressed, She explained how Penumbra would continue to appear throughout her life as she recovered her magical strength from her act. And then there was Little Wing's second death. All three princesses seemed perturbed as Little Wing described her last encounter with the enigmatic mare. How she had warned of the potential damage to Little Wing's revival, what damage it could cause, and how the alicorn's tone had changed to one of hostility. She told them of the deal, how Penumbra would only revive Little Wing again if there was a penance enacted on her.
But what was the point?
Luna asked solemnly.
I can understand her reluctance to grant life a second time, given its effects on her and even reality itself. And, to be honest, I am disturbed you were brought back at all if that was the case.
Hey!
Rainbow Dash objected.
That's my sister! I don't care if reality got dinged a bit. If we had lost her...
I can understand your feelings, Rainbow Dash,
Princess Celestia said softly, looking back towards Little Wing.
And if it was Luna... None of this situation is a clear black and white, it would seem. I am glad you are safe, my little pony, but I can't say I wholly agree with the method of your revival. But be that as it may,
Luna continued,
the morality of the act aside, the penance was wholly not moral.
I agree,
Twilight added in.
As concerning as Penumbra's ability to bring back departing souls is, the act itself was still a clear act of kindness. But the penance? That suggests something more malicious, arrogant, and egotistical. The penance served her no purpose, except maybe to fuel her own pride.
Kindness, but one followed by an unnecessary price,
Luna mused.
Perplexing. And I worry for this alicorn's psychological state. She may not be the most mentally sound individual.
I don't know,
Little Wing muttered, accepting Misty's comforting hoof and holding on to it tight.
I mean, she saved me, but now... I just don't know. Might I add, I'm relieved to hear of her current magic deficiency following the spell,
Twilight noted.
If she were to learn any of my interference, well... I don't really want to find out exactly how damaged her mental state may in fact be. Yeah, let her try to do anything,
Rainbow Dash blurted out, quickly taking to the air and hovering above all the other ponies.
She won't lay a hoof on Little Wing, and if she tries...
And if I try, what will happen, Wonderbolt?
Time froze, as did every pony present as they heard that new voice enter the fray. The voice was cold and angry, a distinct growl accompanying those words. The three alicorns on the platform all stared at one specific spot, Celestia and Luna having shot up from their thrones in their shock. Little Wing, Misty Gust, and Rainbow Dash all began to turn around, and all their breaths caught in their throats at the sight that awaited them.
Were you by chance discussing me?
Penumbra asked with zero friendliness.
But what does it matter? Here I was, the last few weeks recovering from the initial shock of my action, and just as I regained the first embers of my abilities, what is it I see?
Penumbra laughed, her cackles chilling Little Wing's spine as it echoed across the vast throne room.
Memories,
she stated.
Memories which that girl should not have. Was that part of our deal? No, I think not. You have broken your penance. And now...
There was a gold, blue, and lavender flash as the three princesses all interposed themselves between Penumbra and the Pegasi, their horns all flashing to life at once as their wings flared protectively. All the while, Penumbra glared at the interfering princesses with complete disdain.
Foolish children, this is not your place,
Penumbra dismissed.
Give me the girl. She owes me her life. and it is forfeit.